Hey guys, give me 1 minute as I navigate the slide deck. All right, welcome back, everybody. Um, we're gonna get started on our technical assistance and training support session. I'm really excited to have our NOAA Office of Coastal Management colleagues, Annie McDuell and Kenneth Rainier, um, with us today, and Ned Gardner will also be joining us to give you this session to kind of talk more about technical assistance and knowledge sharing across the project. And I feel like a lot of our partnership building session touched on TA a lot. And so I'm super excited to have this dedicated time for these experts to talk with you all. Kenneth, I'm working on getting your slide up, but give me 1 second. You guys can take it away in the meanwhile.
All good. I'll kick us off then. Hi, everyone. So just Kenneth Rainier with NOAA's Office for Coastal Management, serve as an instructional designer alongside Annie McDuell as well. And we are, our team here is been tasked with assisting our climate ready workforce grantees over the next 4 years in terms of any technical assistance that's needed in relation to, uh, well, I'll talk about what our expertise is and what we can bring to the table to assist with, and then I'll let Ned speak for the Climate Program Office. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear the alarm. I'm going to go on mute for just a second.
We had a fire alarm yesterday during our session. I'll just say hi since you said Climate Program Office. I'm Ned from the Climate Program Office.
Perfect. Um, so what I'm hoping to do, I think what Annie and I are hoping to do, and I apologize, I'm currently on leave, and so I haven't seen these slides in about a week, so I actually forget what's on them. So if we can just go to the quick, perfect. Okay. So I didn't pretty this up at all. So I just going to talk about the different domains of technical assistance that we can potentially lend to the different grantees. And so the way that Annie, myself, and the Climate Program Office team thought about what we can provide to the grantees is falls within these two big domains of subject matter expertise and networking and connecting. And I'll touch a little bit on each one of these and try to give an example of what we mean or what we were thinking about with how we might be able to assist your efforts. So within the subject matter expertise, we have resilience adaptation planning. And so uh, a big example of what I think that y'all might be familiar with in terms of what we saw in the proposals and what we're working on is this whole process around the steps to resilience, the work that the Climate Program Office has been developing. Annie and I, over the past year and a half-ish, have been working alongside the Climate Program Office to build out, assist other contractors building out instructor-led courses around the steps to resilience. And we even did some piloting back in September. And what we identified, which I think will be actually, I don't know, I'm hoping maybe will be very beneficial to the Climate Ready Workforce grantees is this fiscal year, we're actually, based on feedback, transforming those steps to resilience courses into asynchronous e-learning modules. And we're chunking them up based on the different steps that a community or a practitioner might be within the process of doing resilience adaptation planning. And so in regards to technical assistance, not only can we help advise on those different steps and those different processes, but also ideally help also provide some instructional support as needed in regards to training around those efforts. Sorry, I went way into the weeds on that one, and we have quite a few to get through. So. The next one is meeting facilitation. So our office, with the Office for Coastal Management, um, and just to put it into context, we manage what's called the Digital Coast. If you haven't been on the Digital Coast, it is a suite of data, tools, stories, case studies, learning products, all in efforts to support coastal professionals around the country. Um, and one of the big things that we have a portfolio around is assisting with facilitation and meeting facilitation. So we have training built around it. We have lots of resources, quick references built around that we're happy to help with. Other things include learning and instructional design. So as I said, that Annie and I are instructional designers. We're actually part of a team of 9 of instructional designers that work for OCM and the Digital Coast. And so we have quite a nice capacity there built to uh, work with adult learning theory and things like that, andragogy, all that fun stuff. And then guest speakers. We are able to definitely network with our instructors. So we have an entire training program that we have multiple instructors that have backgrounds that are from meteorology to risk communication to social sciences to GIS, geospatial. We have an entire, it's called the GeoZone blog that's managed by our geospatial coordinators. And so definitely happy to connect the grantees with those individuals as it relates to guest speakers. With networking and connecting, we're able to ideally help identify if there's any additional funding coming down and being able to connect any dots to help build on to those current efforts. As I said, like with the Digital Coast and the U.S., I'm not going to get too much into it, Ned, but the U.S. Resilience Toolkit, the amount of tools that are out there can sometimes well, I find them very daunting personally. So we are able to help navigate those tools and help identify if you're looking for something, try to find those tools that might be most beneficial. And that goes the same with data as well. And then similar to like the guest speakers, just connecting, really trying to network. And I mean, because that's a huge component around resilience as well. And thinking about our institutional resilience of this climate ready workforce effort, trying to build those connectivity and those networks around people. And then of course, information references and additional trainings and workshops. One of the big things that I just wanted to touch on briefly is, and I think it was, and I apologize, I wasn't able to attend the earlier session today, but we have, after we were reviewing all the proposals and the awarded proposals and saw the proposed efforts, we were like, oh my goodness, it would be so great to bring our grantees together around the training efforts, because we saw a lot of potential duplication efforts underway. Especially one of the examples I specifically honed in on was the Steps to Resilience coursework. And I was like, oh, it would be really fantastic if we could learn from others on what they're doing around building that course. And then how can we work efficiently and leverage each other's knowledge and expertise into doing that. And so we started a training-based community of practice, which we saw a lot of y'all on our very first meeting last Friday, I think. It's going by so fast. And the purpose of that meeting was just to say hello and get to know one another. And we currently actually have a form, that a little quick survey that we have out there, where we're trying to identify best meeting times and meeting length, and then what would you like to talk about. I just talked with Annie very briefly. She filled me in on like some some other, like some potential themes we might be able to chat about. I'm going to go ahead and share that form link for anybody that would like to complete that form in the chat. And yeah, and then once we get that information, Annie and I will be reaching back out to schedule again our next follow-up community practice meeting. So yeah, sorry, that was a lot. um, Annie, is there anything that you wanted to add?
And I apologize if my sound is a little poppy. We have a big windstorm coming through right now, so I think that might be interrupting my internet. The only thing I wanted to add is that we can do one-on-one consultations with your team as well in terms of instructional design and training to see what would best fit your needs. I have a feeling that a lot of what you guys will need can actually come out of the community of practice. But if you would like one-on-one consultations with us, we're happy to do that as well. That's it. Otherwise, you did fantastic, Kenneth. Thank you.
And then I think the last thing I just wanted to mention, and I think I've heard it said before, is Annie and I are really much here to support your efforts. And we are, especially with this first year, I just would love to be a fly on the wall watching the expertise of what y'all are doing and building the trainings and just learning from y'all and seeing how we would potentially be able to help support you. And everything. So I'm going to share that link and then I'll turn it over to you, Ned.
Okay, well, I'm imagining we are not taking a break right now. And I will ask Mary Collins or Amara or someone to please give me screen sharing ability, because we're going to do another Mentimeter, everybody. And essentially, those of you who are on the Boston team and have joined the afternoon session here have already seen these slides. So you're already prepared for what I'm going to ask. But one of the projects that I'm involved in managing and shepherding is the U.S. Climate Resilience Toolkit, which we launched in 2014 as a way to bring together data with tools, with reports and case studies, examples of what people are doing to build resilience around the country. And I took a video team around the country actually to make storage, to shoot video and make very high quality production value stories about what people were doing back then in climate resilience. We didn't, as Frank often says, we didn't have a federally funded climate workforce program at that time. A lot of the work was nascent, and we were documenting, well, what is happening and what can people do? Well, today we're in a different position. We have professional societies that are very active. We've got standards of practice. We've got your 9 projects, more to the point. Your 9 projects are in the bullseye of what we want Americans to learn from and so they can do their work better and document and share those results. So that's what the toolkit really is for. It's a knowledge sharing platform. And the question came up yesterday in session 1, which I did not attend, about the longevity of archived material. And I want to assure you that we have already a plan for assuring that this content will have a home moving forward. And so our team is committed to working with you to document and share your lessons learned. So based on our conversation about partnerships, in part based on the community of practice that Kenneth and Annie are leading, and your exchanges yesterday and so forth, I'd like you to share a little bit about your pains and your gains that the toolkit might provide. So please go to menti.com and use code 1955-5523. It's the same link you were using before. If you still have that, you can use it. I don't know if anyone's joined, but menti.com 19555523 is the link. And easy question, if you could rank what is the most difficult problem you face for addressing climate resilience? So it might be finding and using data, putting the data in context to your location. If you're in Alaska or on an island, for example, those data can be difficult to find from NOAA, but maybe you have other sources of data and it's not a problem. But anyway, you might rank data highly problematic, a pain. In other words, these are your pain points in doing your job. Um, are you able to find and use data? I don't see anyone having joined this Mentimeter poll. So I'm going to emphasize again, menti.com 19555523 is the code. You go to menti.com and enter that code, and you can join this survey. Now, we're going to actually use your feedback to start driving strategic decisions about the toolkit. So we'll be working with you over the course of your grant, of course, but it'd be nice to know at the outset, what are your pain points? We have an active user engagement and research team that focuses a lot on finding professional adaptation and resilience practitioners like yourselves and identifying, well, what are your pain points? So this idea of new job or hiring requirements is a big focus of climate ready workforce. So I will be actually wanting us to co-produce the content for sections that deal with this. What are in other words, how do we put climate data and information in context in order to train the next generation workforce? And how do we do that in a way that's skillful, but it's not always going to look like a climate job first. It might look more like an engineer or a construction worker or a manager. But that's going to be something we have to co-produce. The accreditation issue is something I think Kenneth and Annie have some creative ideas and actually quite a bit of experience in developing, and we'll bring this idea into discussions with them, I think. The idea of politicization is something we encounter a lot when using the word climate even. Sometimes we have to find other ways of connecting with people around their core values so they can understand the value and importance of climate information. And so working with you on the best ways to message and work with people where they are, meet them where they are, is really important. This is all about context. And I always find, and I'm a little amused, that finding and using data ends up near the bottom since it's such a high priority for NOAA, right? But really, we're understanding in NOAA that finding and using data is part of a work process you have, a social process you have. And so we learn to do that better by offering what we have and learning from you about the best way to translate it. That's really embedded in the culture of NOAA. It's interesting to see funding for climate resilience at the bottom. Maybe that's because you have funding. Maybe that's not your biggest pain point right now, but that's interesting to see that at the bottom. So if you have other ideas about what you'd like to find on a toolkit on a website about climate, please put those here. And again, we're going to use this feedback as input into how we continue to evolve our site. You will be able to fill in response. I think if I move on, you still be able to fill in responses at your own pace. Now, what are the gains that you could see from using the toolkit? If you could quickly rank these, we'd be interested to see what you value, what you would value in the toolkit. I'm going to wrap up here, and leave the survey open for you to participate and give us any feedback you can about the toolkit. We are your partner in this work, and we want to be partners in good faith. If you ever have any questions and you don't get a response from me, you can use our toolkit email address here. But this isn't the last you're going to hear from me. Thank you for a little bit of time this afternoon, and I'll pass back over to Poe to bring us home. And I don't hear you, Poe. You're on mute.
I was saying my thanks. Thank you, Ned. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Annie, for our wonderful session. And we're going to take a little break now. We are changing things up just slightly. We realized that for the next session, which is monitoring and evaluation office hour, to be most effective, it'd be great to get everybody back on camera and have an engaging session. So we are going to, I think Amara is working on a link, and I am pasting it in the chat box. So please enter with this link. And then we can have a break until 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Did everybody get the link? Okay, we'll see you there.